No amount of alcohol is safe. Drinking alcoholic beverages can be harmful to our health. It's the most damaging drug to society as a whole. The danger goes up with every additional drink. Alcohol is actually considered a Class 1 carcinogen or cancer-causing agent, so that's the same category as benzene and tobacco smoke. It is the poison, the acetaldehyde itself, that leads to the effect of being inebriated or drunk. Canadian health authorities had previously said that a low-risk amount of alcohol was about 10 drinks per week. Your risks start to increase at 1 standard drink per week. Even just 7 glasses of wine across the week, there is going to be some degeneration of your brain in response to that alcohol intake. I was wanting to be a certain person, but making all the wrong decisions. Citing some of this research about alcohol's impacts suggested lowering that to 2 drinks per week. In Western cultures, alcohol is the most harmful drug overall because it's the most harmful drug to society, because it's the most widely used drug. A very small percentage of individuals in the world can quit anything on their own. And really, our main message is that less is better. When it comes to health, less is more. What do we know about alcohol's impact on us? Alcohol is one of the leading behavior-related causes of health problems and deaths, and also some social problems and economic costs, ranging from things like injuries and accidents to cancers, and actually heart and cardiovascular disease. Shoveling alcohol, hiding away the problems has been something we've become very experts at. But the really sad statistic is that only 10 of people suffering from an alcohol use disorder seek treatment. I hit rock bottom. I got lost in the sauce of drinking. Out of those 10 of the people, only 1 will have any form of long-term success. This is why I don't like alcohol, and this is why I don't like drugs, because I don't. You're not in control. A substance is doing that, and that means 90 of people who are suffering right now aren't going to seek treatment. And you know why they're not going to seek treatment? Have been told that all they can do is quit and go to meetings for the rest of their life. I remember having a conversation with Patrick one night. He picked me up in his car, and we're sitting together. And there was awkward silence for a good 15 to 20 minutes. So eventually one of my friends who was going through it bad, I was at the prison to pick him up. I'm sitting outside till 3 o'clock in the morning. Finally, he gets out, gets in the car. This was like his 4th or 5th UI. We didn't say anything to each other. And we're driving home, and I don't say anything to him. And he says, "Hey, Pat, how come you're not saying anything to me?" I said, just to be honest with me, I just see you being in pain. Finally, I said, I don't know why I choose to do what I'm doing. And he says, "You always have a choice." And we started talking a little bit about 2 words. He said, Mario, perspective and gratitude. And those 2 words changed everything for me. But as we were having a conversation, I just want to see you get out of this thing. I don't know what you're going through, but you're in pain, and I hope you realize there's value to life. I don't know how to help you. I don't have a method. The only thing I know is what I've seen others go through, whether it's AA and all these other programs. He went into asking me who I want to be, what do I want to do? And we just went through a whole conversation. And it was a human conversation. It was a people conversation. It was no business, no numbers. It was just relationship. But I hope you figure out a way to get through this. Do you know that I love you? Yes. Do you think I care about you? Yes. Do you think I want the best for you? Yes. Do you want to be friends long term? Yes. Are we family? Yes. Do you want to change? And that's the one where I got stuck. You have to want to change if you're struggling with some kind of addiction like I was. And not easy to say that, but I wanted to change, I just didn't know how, and eventually he figured out a way to get through it. And he doing great. He changed his life, in a complete different way, yeah? But what you said to him, people should be aware of that. That is love and support, and it's visceral, because people don't want it to be true. There are 2 things I would say about this. The first is both a conscious and a subconscious level. People are fearful of other drugs, illegal drugs, because it helps deflect their attention away from the problems of alcohol at a personal level, but also at a political level. Politicians love to get hysterical about a new drug because it means they can do something about drugs, and they don't have to be held to account over their failure to deal with the problems of alcohol. So that's the first thing. Second thing is that I would say that there's almost no family in Britain. If you look at an extended family, 3 generations, which doesn't have someone who's been damaged by alcohol through addiction, through violence, traffic accidents, or being a victim because of someone else who was drunk and violent. Almost every family in Britain is affected, but we don't own up to it. We kind of push it under the carpet. We know there's a problem, but we don't talk about it because we don't know what to do about it. We're embarrassed. And so that shoveling alcohol, hiding away the problems has been something we've become very expert at. We know the pharmacology of alcohol in the brain and how it does that. We can explain an enormous amount of what's going on with alcohol. To me, I find that quite exciting because as a brain scientist, that's what I want to understand. I want to understand the brain. And alcohol is a very interesting probe of different brain systems, and the changes we see underpin the effects of alcohol are relevant to all sorts of disorders. They're relevant to disorders like sleep disorders, relevant to epilepsy, relevant to anxiety, depression. This drug, which you can just go and buy in the shops, can produce these enormous changes in people's minds. Sometimes some habits can turn into lifestyles, and certain lifestyles don't lead to all the benefits and all the amazing things that life has to offer. Some lifestyles lead to very dark paths. Depression, anxiety, stress, and if not controlled, can also lead to some of the worst-case scenarios out there in life. One of them being never reaching your capacity, never really having an identity or a self-worth, losing all integrity, all dignity, and losing yourself. Just a few years ago, I was in a very dark place in my life. They say that depression comes from the inability to construct the future in your mind. I couldn't see the future. I didn't know who I was supposed to be. I was wanting to be a certain person, but making all the wrong decisions. I made a lot of mistakes. When it comes to alcohol itself, which is something that I was struggling with at the time, it went slowly from being a work hard, play hard, have a drink, to 2 drinks, to 3 drinks, to then a habit, to then a daily habit, to then a 24/7 habit, to then a every weekend habit, getting lost in myself habit. Sometimes if you don't watch the kind of habits that you're building, they become lifestyles. Before I knew it, I was digging myself a hole, and everywhere I looked, it was so dark and I lost myself. I spiraled into a sense of no self-worth and I struggled a lot, and nobody knew. I hit rock bottom to the point where I almost lost my job, to the point where some people had to have very tough conversations with me. Some friends had to deal with my drama, and they say hurting people hurt people. I was hurting inside and I was hurting others that didn't even know it.